Welcome everyone to the Pop Climate Leadership Conversations, a tribute to our chief mentor. This project aims to strengthen youth leadership and explore tactics that empower the youth to take action and tackle the most pressing environmental issues we are facing today. We are conducting a series of conversations on leadership strategies, recommendations, reflections, and examples, each focused on global leadership and a different pressing environmental issue. This initiative is designed and implemented as a tribute to our chief mentor, late Dr. R.K. Pachauri. And today we have the pleasure of speaking with and Siddhant Desai, who I'm very excited to talk to. They're incredible young leaders, and I would like both of you, if you could share a little bit about yourselves, about your journey.
Okay, so I can start first then. So I think my name's Desai, as mentioned before. I'm studying math and computer science, and I think probably the thing I love most to do is tackle hard problems, be able to look at a big problem, be able to break it apart, be able to see how I can help specifically using the skills I have. And so I think that's part of what attracted me to working on helping with climate change and using technology for social good. I've been doing work using artificial intelligence to help protect biodiversity or monitor carbon emissions over time. And this sort of stuff is really interesting to me, learning about complex systems and being able to see what sort of social changes are necessary. So yeah, that's a bit about who I am. Sid, if you want to.
Sure. First of all, I just wanted to thank Anna and the rest of POP for having me speak today. Super excited to be a part of this conversation, an awesome initiative. My name is Siddhant Desai. I'm from Morris County, New Jersey. I am a rising sophomore at Stony Brook University. I'm a part of an 8-year bachelor's plus medical program, studying to become a doctor. Ever since I can remember, I've always loved the outdoors. I'm an avid fisherman, hiker. I cycle a lot, and just, being outside brings me so much happiness, joy, and peace. And so when I, was first introduced to climate change at a relatively young age, I knew that was something I wanted to, I knew that was a fight I wanted to participate in. I wanted to help with reforestation. I wanted to kind of make a difference in the realm of climate change to save the outdoors and save the nature that I so deeply cared about, and that gave me so much. I thought it would only be right for me to try and give some back. Since then, many years ago, I started working with the pop movement and FXB and trying to bring different perspectives to these organizations about climate change, specifically in the realm of new technologies. I think artificial intelligence and computer science is the future of all realms of the world, including climate change. And I think that a fresh perspective with newer technology might be the answer that we need to try and solve this major problem. So I'm super excited for our conversation today and can't wait to get started.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. I'm really excited for this. So you both have such interesting backgrounds, and you both have done so much at such a young age. So I'm excited to learn from both of you. So my first question is directed to the both of you, and I would like to ask you what leadership means to you.
Okay, so I guess I can start if you're fine with that. So.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, so I think leadership means being able to, one, it's of multiple different parts. I think first, you want to be able to recognize that on this path. You want to be able to set goals, figure out what goals you want to achieve, and figure out how to achieve them. So I think that's the first very important part. And I think that's one of the main things any leader should do. Part of the point of a leader is to direct people in a direction and be able to figure out, okay, here's what each person does, here's how each person can use their skills to solve this specific part of the problem. But I think another part of being a leader that isn't discussed as often is being able to encourage people, being able to tell people yeah, what you can do matters. You can actually make some change here and be able to actually keep them passionate towards achieving a certain goal. And so I think those are very important aspects of leadership. I think, yeah, all of these are big. all of these are big things that any group that wants to achieve some goal, any group that wants to actually help with solving the climate problem needs.
I think just to add on to Om, for me, leadership is having a group of people and kind of directing them in the same direction as your vision. So, we know that when you can work with a group of people, you can get a lot more done, a lot more efficiently than individually. And I think a big facet of leadership is kind of expressing your vision, expressing your goals, and kind of showing people this common objective and all working together to accomplish it. And so specifically in the realm of climate change, I think for me, a big part of what I strive to be as a leader is to inspire other people, specifically youth, to try and, understand how big of an issue climate change really is and take steps not only in their daily lives, but also as an advocate to kind of spread this mission of the fight against climate change. And so I try to reach out to as many young people as I can all over the world, various different initiatives through different classes that allow people to explore different technologies that we can use for climate change, and just try and lead as many young youth in the same direction for a common goal that's so near and dear to all of us.
Thank you both. I completely agree. I think it's, well, this really important role of really bringing everyone together and using the skill set that everyone has to achieve this common goal that we were talking about, in this case, solving climate change. So now I would like to direct my next question to and I would like you to please tell us about your projects and how you started using AI to create a positive difference in the world.
Okay, so I think part of why I wanted to start using AI to create positive impact in the world, I believe everyone should be able to see what unique contributions they can bring, what they can achieve, what they're best at, and how they can approach a certain problem. So as for factual stuff I've been working on, I think one example of the thing I was working on is being able to use artificial intelligence to protect biodiversity. So to explain a bit more in this area, right? Due to climate change, a lot of animal populations end up being forced away from their habitat, having to migrate in different locations. And oftentimes this can ruin the ecosystem of certain areas because predators, prey, if animal populations move to places they're not supposed to be, it can affect the entire ecosystem, with other populations being affected by a chain reaction, being lower or higher than they need to be. And so it's very important to be able to track where exactly these animals are migrating, where exactly those populations are going. So you can try and rehabilitate animal populations or help them increase again. And so one of the things I'm working on, in this case using artificial intelligence, is being able to set up camera traps, basically just set up cameras around trees or forest, around basically any areas where animals could pass by, and being able to automatically detect, okay, here's where this animal is in an environment where it isn't supposed to be. Here's an animal in a new area, being able to report more about that in this case. So yeah, I think that's one of the things I've been working on that I think could have a very big effect. Another thing I'm working on is being able to, for instance, model carbon emissions over time, being able to see how different projects affect carbon emissions based on how projects in the past have been able to affect how carbon emissions have changed. So people can more effectively figure out, okay, here's how we can best and most effectively be able to create new methods of energy production and be able to cut back on these specifically to lower warming over time. So I think those are two things that I'm very excited about working on. And yeah, I think I've had a lot of fun working on them. I think I'm very passionate about it. I think I've done some pretty good work here. And so I'm pretty proud of it overall.
Awesome, thank you. No, I want to congratulate you for this amazing work. I think it's incredible to see how you have been able to use AI to promote conservation and tackling climate change and reducing emissions. So I really like to see the side of all of these positive positive uses to artificial intelligence. I would now like to ask Siddhant a question. And Siddhant, for you, could you please tell me more about Samur AI? I don't know if I pronounced that right, and how it works and what impact it has on promoting reforestation?
Sure. So Samurai is an initiative that Om and I started that aims to leverage artificial intelligence for, positive good in all facets of the world. So not only for climate change, but for other things like global health and other, global initiatives and issues that we're trying to kind of solve as a planet. And so we really think that AI has a place in all of these problems and can really be the solution to a lot of different things. And so Samurai is kind of our way of trying to explore the uses of AI in many different facets. And one area where we've done a lot of work and where we focused heavily on is with reforestation through a project called Project Green. And so Project Green is a satellite-based reforestation detector. So it analyzes satellite data from all over the world and identifies areas where planting trees is not only easy and accessible, but also where those trees will have the highest success rates. So when reforesting, there's a lot of different things that we need to consider. We need to consider the weather. We need to consider the land, whether it's public land, private land, and we need to consider the different environmental factors such as the quality of soil, surrounding vegetation, things like that. And so Project Green takes all of these factors into account and gives two predictions for reforestation. The first one is a specific location where a team can actually go out and plant saplings. The second is the species of sapling that it predicts will do the best in the given environment and given location. And so based off of the predictions, we really think that reforestation becomes a much more manageable problem. Prior to Project Green, even if someone had the desire to go out and plant trees, it was hard to know where exactly to do it, whether it was private land, you didn't want to be breaking rules. And oftentimes they would actually go out and plant trees, but the survival rate for the trees would be very low because either there was the wrong species or the environment just wasn't right in that area. And so we hope to mitigate some of these challenges through Project Green and kind of work to make reforestation something that's accessible to all people. And to kind of add to that point, Project Green, we're hoping to make it an open API project, which would make it accessible for free all across the world. So anybody can use it from anywhere. And we can kind of spread this initiative of reforestation and work towards giving everyone an opportunity to contribute if they wish.
Thank you. I love that. I love hearing about the Green Project. I think it's such an important tool. Working with different NGOs, I've encountered that problem myself, where we want to find the best place to conduct a reforestation, but we need to conduct many different studies to really make sure that the trees will have the highest survival rate. So it's amazing that you guys are using AI to really simplify this process. So my next question would be for which is, how has creating community projects such as young students teach younger kids help you learn about different ways in which we can tackle environmental movements? What potential do you see in using AI for community-led projects?
Okay, so I think one important lesson I learned for being able to make community projects is that it's very important for people to, one, actually believe that they can do something. So something that's very important about teaching younger kids is oftentimes they show up with, like, I'm too young for this, I'm not going to be able to do anything here. And I think a lot of the time that's wrong. Like, a lot of young children are a lot smarter and a lot more competent than they're led to believe. And I think they can use what they have to achieve something. So I think being able to inspire them, being able to show them that, yeah, you have this ability, you can make changes in this way. I think that's one very important lesson I learned. Another important lesson I learned is that I think An important lesson I learned is that I think it's important to have community-led projects, like be with people who can identify with each other, have younger students see like, okay, these people are young too. They're doing this kind of work. I can do this kind of work too. And it helps them like relate with you more, be able to, you can connect with. All of these are important lessons to these projects that can all be applied to helping work with environmental issues. So I think that's I think those are two very important lessons I learned from making community projects. As for using AI for community-led projects, I think there's a lot of potential in this path because, again, a lot of people think like, okay, I need to be specific. A lot of people think, okay, climate change is really bad. It's going to affect my life or people who I care about, but they don't think they don't think they personally can do anything about it. And I think these lessons can be very important, being able to like create a movement, being able to show people, no, you can help out this way. And so I think especially with AI, that's just another way you can see like, okay, there are many different ways in which using artificial intelligence can help with fixing the climate problem, whether it's being able to show people the methods of working with something, or being able to track data better, or being able to make decisions that can more effectively help reduce carbon emissions. I think those are all areas where AI can be very helpful. And I think you can show people in community-led projects, you can show people in the community, hey, if you have skills related to this, if you have skills related to math or artificial intelligence or writing code, you can still help out. Like you can still actually do something here. And so I think that's an important way in which AI can be used. And I think a lot of the thing about AI is it's very new. There's a lot of potential for it, and no one really knows the total amount of things it can do. And that's why having community input is so important. It's great to have like a variety of different perspectives, a lot of different people, all of whom have different ideas, and all of whom can test out their own ideas. So that's something I like about using community movements, being able to work with large communities, and especially with AI and climate.
Thank you so much. I love that. It's such a complete answer, and it really puts into perspective the great impact that AI can have in all types of different projects led by young people or led by communities or by anyone who's willing to really make a difference. Thank you so much. And my final question would be for Siddhant. And this question is, what would be your main recommendations for youth leaders who want to follow a similar path as you? I know sometimes there's young leaders across the globe who want to get into technology and solving environmental and social issues, but they don't know where to start. So what would be your main recommendation?
So, I have a couple of things. I think the first thing is you just got to dive in. I think it's very easy to get intimidated by, the, vastness of some of the problems that we're all trying to solve. But I think it's important to not forget that each individual's contribution makes a huge difference towards our final goal. So even though this problem is something that's so large, by every single person that we can kind of get in the fight against climate change is one more person making a major contribution towards where we need to be. And so just dive in, get started. I would say look for some local organizations that can kind of facilitate the visions you have in mind. For example, for me, I started with FXB International and then was introduced to the POP movement, which have both greatly provided me the resources that I needed to kind of continue along my journey and explore various different avenues related to climate change and many other things. I would also say that, we are the next generation and previous attempts have failed. So let's try to have a creative and new outlook towards climate change. And, don't be afraid to try new solutions and don't be afraid to utilize the technology that we've quite literally grown up with every day of our lives. The previous generations haven't had that access from such a young age, right at their fingertips. And I think there's so much more that's unexplored in the realm of technology and artificial intelligence. And so, definitely try to find new innovative solutions related to technology or related to anything else that, specifically as the youth, as the new generation that this massive project has fallen onto to kind of, complete. We should keep our eyes open, and, the sky is the limit as far as what technology and, new advances in this world can kind of accomplish. So I would say just, dive in, find people that can facilitate your vision, surround yourself with people that share a similar vision and share that passion, and then utilize the resources around you, utilize the technology that you've grown up with, and anything is possible if you can do that.
Thank you. I really like how you took it from many different perspectives, thinking of, hey, what's the type of people, like what are the first steps you need to get into, what's the type of groups you need to look into, and also like really having that like enthusiasm to learn for yourself about exploring more technologies and how you can use them. Before we close, I really like your response to this question, and I would also see if would like to add anything to these recommendations.
Right now, I think Sid was very complete with those recommendations. I think I'd agree with most of what he says, like the importance of how every individual person matters, and and what he said about about how people can get involved, make change. I think that's all very nice to hear.
Awesome. Yeah, I completely agree. It was a very complete answer. So I really thank you both so much. I admire your work a lot, and I think you're doing amazing things and really working towards creating and using the technology in a way that can help everyone and just the world progress. So thank you both so much for being here with us today. Before we close, if you have anything else you'd like to add or share, you may do so.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you to you, Anna, for facilitating this conversation and for all the other work that you do, and to the pop movement for kind of always being there for for any resources or any help that we need, making or having us facilitate new connections, and kind of just being an amazing organization that has taken both me and under their wing and kind of helped us grow as we continue through our journeys. It was a pleasure speaking to both of you.
And I think I'd like to thank you too for allowing us this opportunity, for being so helpful and yeah, thank you.
No, on the contrary, really thank you guys so much for being here and for taking the time to talk to us about your work and the amazing things you're doing. And we're really looking forward to continue following everything you do next. Thank you so much.